It started on a rainy Friday evening. I had just come home from work, drenched from head to toe, and hoping to find some warmth and comfort in the place I called home. Instead, I walked into a house that felt colder than the storm raging outside. My wife, Emily, sat on the couch, her phone glued to her hand, her attention fixed on something far more important than my arrival. "Hey, I'm home," I called out, shaking off my wet coat and tossing it over the chair. Emily didn't even look up. A quick mumble of, "Hey," was all I got. This had become our routine. We'd been married for 8 years, and somewhere along the way, the spark we once had fizzled out. But lately, her behavior had shifted. The late nights out, the mysterious texts, the way she'd laugh at her phone and quickly put it down when I entered the room. Something was off, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I sat down across from her, watching as she scrolled through her phone, her face lit up with a smile she hadn't shown me in months. "What's so funny?" I asked casually. Emily's head snapped up, her smile instantly fading. "Oh, nothing. Just a meme someone sent me." I nodded, pretending to believe her, but the pit in my stomach told me otherwise. Over the past few weeks, I'd started to piece things together. The hushed phone calls, the sudden work meetings that lasted well into the night, and the distance that had grown between us. Emily was hiding something, and deep down, I knew what it was. That night, as she fell asleep beside me, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling and wondering how we got here. I thought about confronting her, demanding the truth, but a part of me already knew it wouldn't change anything. She had made her choice, and it was clear I wasn't part of it anymore. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. If Emily was done with our marriage, then so was I. But I wasn't going to fight, scream, or beg. I was going to walk away, silently and without a trace, and let her realize what she had lost. Over the next week, I prepared for my departure. I started small, moving a few personal items to my office under the guise of needing them for work. I withdrew half of the money from our joint account and set up a new one in my name. I made arrangements to stay with a friend for a while, someone Emily didn't know well enough to contact. Each night, I'd lie in bed next to her, listening to the sound of her breathing, wondering if she even noticed the changes. But Emily was too wrapped up in her own world to pay attention. She'd come home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers, texting someone with a smile that used to be mine. On the day I decided to leave, I came home early to pack the last of my things. Emily was out, as usual, and the house was eerily quiet. I stood in our bedroom, looking at the life we'd built together. The wedding photo on the dresser, the souvenirs from our trips, the little notes we used to leave each other. It all felt so hollow now. I wrote her a letter, not because I owed her an explanation, but because I needed closure for myself. It was short and to the point. Emily, I've loved you for 8 years, but I can't keep pretending that everything is okay. I know about the affair, and I've known for a while. I've tried to understand, to forgive, but I can't do it anymore. So I'm leaving. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, but it won't be with me. Goodbye. James. I left the letter on the kitchen counter, grabbed my bags, and walked out the door. I didn't look back. The first few days were a blur. I stayed at my friend Mark's place, trying to adjust to this new reality. Part of me expected Emily to call, to beg me to come back, but my phone stayed silent. A week passed, and still nothing. That's when it hit me. She hadn't even noticed I was gone. Mark tried to cheer me up, taking me out for drinks and introducing me to his friends, but the hurt lingered. How could someone I'd shared my life with for so long be so indifferent to my absence? I replayed every moment in my head, searching for answers, but all I found was more pain. One evening, Mark and I were sitting in his living room when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emily. My heart raced as I opened it, half expecting an apology or some desperate plea. Instead, it read, "Hey, did you move some of your stuff? I can't find your laptop." That was it. No, where are you? No, I miss you. Just a casual question, as if she hadn't even noticed I was gone. I stared at the screen, my anger boiling over. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone across the room, but instead I laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound, but it was all I could do. She finally texted, I said, showing Mark the message. He read it and shook his head. Unbelievable. What are you gonna do? Nothing, I replied. Let her figure it out on her own. Days turned into weeks, and slowly I started to rebuild my life. I found a new apartment, threw myself into work, and reconnected with old friends. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free from the lies, the betrayal, and the constant feeling of not being enough. Then, one evening, as I was settling into my new place, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Emily standing there, her eyes red and swollen from crying. James, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't realize. Didn't realize what? I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. That you were gone. That you knew. I was stupid and I messed everything up. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. What do you want, Emily? I want to fix this, she said, tears streaming down her face. I want us to go back to the way things were. I shook my head. There's no going back. You made your choice, and now I've made mine. James, please, she begged. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy, I'll change. Just give me one more chance. I sighed, feeling a mix of pity and anger. It's too late, Emily. You didn't just betray me. You took me for granted, made me feel invisible. And now you expect me to come back like nothing happened? I can't do it. She stood there, sobbing, as I closed the door. I leaned against it, my own tears threatening to spill, but I held them back. I had done enough crying for her. It was time to move on. In the months that followed, I found peace in the life I was building. Emily tried to reach out a few more times, but I ignored her messages. She had her chance, and she blew it. Now, I was finally free to focus on myself, to find happiness on my own terms. Looking back, I realized that walking away was the best decision I ever made. It wasn't easy, and it took time to heal, but it was worth it. Because sometimes, the best way to move forward is to let go of what's holding you back.